Okay, picture this. You're talking to someone in English. Things are going pretty well, and then you want to change the topic, or bring up something you just remembered. So you say, "Anyway, I want to say something." And then the whole conversation just stops. Silence. Awkward. Sound familiar? If you've ever felt like your English sounds a little choppy, a little robotic, or like you're always searching for a way to smoothly move from one topic to the next, you are in exactly the right place. Welcome to Lady Show English, where we learn how real people actually talk. Today I'm going to show you 4 supernatural chunks that will help you keep the conversation flowing, just like a native speaker would. And trust me, once you start using these, you'll never go back to those awkward pauses again. Alright, let's jump right in. Here are 4 chunks that native speakers use all the time to shift topics, share stories, or remember something mid-conversation. I'll give you each one quickly, and then we'll go deeper. Number 1, speaking of that, have you ever? This one's perfect when something in the conversation reminds you of a question you want to ask. Like, speaking of that, have you ever tried talking to a stranger in English? See how smooth that is? Number 2. That reminds me of something funny that happened. Use this to bring in a story or a memory. That reminds me of something funny that happened when I was studying abroad. Instant storyteller energy. Number 3, by the way, I wanted to ask you. This is your go-to for introducing a new topic, but keeping it casual. By the way, I wanted to ask you, are you free this weekend? And number 4, oh, before I forget. This one saves you when you suddenly remember something important. Oh, before I forget, did you get my message? It sounds natural, a little urgent, and very human. Now let's break each one down, because knowing when to use them is just as important as knowing the words. Let's go one by one. Starting with speaking of that, have you ever? This chunk creates a natural connection between what was just said and your new question. It shows you're listening and contributing. If you want a similar expression, you can try on that note, have you ever, which is slightly more formal but still very natural. Or that makes me think, have you ever, which feels a little more casual and personal. For example, your friend says I love hiking and you reply. Speaking of that, have you ever hiked in the mountains at night? It's incredible. No awkward jump, you're using the conversation like a bridge. Next up, that reminds me of something funny that happened. This is a story launcher. It signals to the other person that you have something interesting to share. You can also use oh, that just reminded me of. For something shorter and more spontaneous, or funny you should say that, because when their point is surprisingly close to your own story, like, funny you should say that, because something very similar happened to me last year. The key is that you're not just dropping a story randomly. You're connecting it to the moment. Now let's look at by the way, I wanted to ask you. By the way is one of the most versatile phrases in spoken English. It lets you pivot smoothly without sounding abrupt. A warmer option is oh, while I have you, it feels a little more personal. And if the question has been on your mind for a while, try actually, I've been meaning to ask you, like, actually, I've been meaning to ask you, how did your job interview go? That one sentence tells the other person, I care, I remembered, and I want to know more. And finally, oh, before I forget. This is perfect for when you suddenly remember something mid-conversation. It sounds real and natural, almost like your brain is working in real time. A slightly longer version is oh, I almost forgot to tell you. Which is just as common. Or if it's urgent, you can say wait, I need to mention something quickly. For example, wait, I need to mention something quickly. The meeting time changed to 3 o'clock. Great, now let's put all 4 of these into some real mini conversations. This is where it gets fun. I'm going to play both sides of these conversations, so you can really hear how these chunks sound in context. Ready? Let's go. Dialogue 1. First, the awkward version. A says, I love trying new restaurants. B replies, me too. I want to ask you something. Do you like spicy food? It works, but it sounds flat and disconnected. Now the natural version. A says, I love trying new restaurants. B replies, me too. Speaking of that, have you ever tried that new Thai place on Zhongshan Road? I heard it's amazing. Same question, but now it flows. It sounds like a real conversation. Dialogue 2. A says, I was so tired at work today. B replies, oh, that reminds me of something funny that happened to me last Monday. I fell asleep in a meeting, and my manager was right there. A says, no way. What did you do? Notice how that reminds me instantly pulls the other person in, they're curious, they want to know more. Dialogue 3. A says, so anyway, I've been really busy lately. B replies, I know the feeling. By the way, I wanted to ask you, are you still planning to go to that concert next month? A says, oh. I almost forgot about that. B replies, oh, before I forget, I have an extra ticket if you want to come. Beautiful. 2 chunks in one short exchange, by the way, and before I forget. That's exactly how native speakers talk. Want a couple more variations to keep things interesting? I've got you. Coming right up. Okay, let's look at 2 quick bonus variations you can add to your toolkit. When you want to link topics even more smoothly, try come to think of it. For example, come to think of it, I haven't called my friend in months. Speaking of that, have you ever lost touch with someone and then randomly run into them? You can combine come to think of it with one of today's chunks for an extra natural transition. And when you're in the middle of a story but you suddenly remember something, try wait, actually, before I finish, I need to tell you something first. It sounds incredibly natural and fast, casual conversation, like your brain is genuinely jumping around the way brains do. The secret is, native speakers don't always talk in a perfectly logical order. They connect topics in the moment, they remember things suddenly, and they use these chunks to make it all sound smooth and intentional. Alright, let's see how much you remember with a quick quiz. Don't worry, it's fun, not scary. Okay, 4 quick questions. I'll give you a few seconds, then I'll give you the answer. Question 1. Your friend just mentioned she loves cooking. You want to ask if she's ever tried making sushi. Which chunk do you use? A. By the way, I wanted to ask you. B. Speaking of that, have you ever? C. Oh, before I forget. The answer is B. Speaking of that, have you ever tried making sushi at home? Perfect connection. Question 2. You're in the middle of a conversation and you suddenly remember you need to share important news. Which one fits best? A. That reminds me of something funny that happened. B. Funny you should say that. C. Oh, before I forget. The answer is C. Oh, before I forget, the meeting's been moved to Friday. Question 3. You want to bring up a totally new topic without sounding abrupt. Which phrase is best? A. Oh, before I forget. B. By the way, I wanted to ask you. C. That reminds me. The answer is B. By the way, I wanted to ask you, have you seen any good movies lately? Question 4. Which of these is a natural way to introduce a personal story that connects to what someone just said? A. I want to say something now. B. Anyway, listen to this. C. That reminds me of something funny that happened. The answer is C. Story launchers like this make your English come alive. And now for the grand finale, let's lock in everything you learned today. Amazing work, everyone. Let's quickly recap what we covered today. For useful conversation chunks, how to connect a question, tell a related story, shift to a new topic smoothly, and add something you just remembered. Now your challenge, pick just one of them and use it in real life this week. Because knowing a phrase is one thing, actually using it is what makes it yours. I'd love to hear which one you chose, so drop it in the comments. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to Lady Show English for more real, practical English. Thanks for watching, see you next time. Take care.